Good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. How is everyone today? Well, it is my pleasure to invite you to, thank you, Donna, for the celebration emoji. It is my pleasure to invite you for the UN 2.0 in Action Tools, Trainings, and Community Insights session. And my name is Lian Satarawala. I'm from the UNSSC and I'm a transformation associate. And I'm joined with my colleague, Cecilia Ferraro Titin, who is a transformational individual contractor as well. And here we have also, we're joined with the Office of the Under Secretary General, Department of Economic and Social Affairs, DESA. And over to you, Finbar and Junchun, if you would like to introduce yourselves as well.
Sure. Thank you, Leanne. And thanks to Leanne and Cecilia for co-hosting with us, to the UN 2.0 Week organizers for allowing us to talk more about DESA's implementation of UN 2.0. My name is Finbar Heffern. I'm a program management officer in the strategic planning unit of UN DESA. Great to be here.
Thank you, Cecilia and Leah as well. My name is Jianqun Wang. I work at the same office as Simba. Glad to be here to share our SDG Chat project with you. Thank you.
Fantastic. And with that, we have today's agenda. So today we're going to explore um, what kind of freely available UN 2.0 e-learning that you can access as UN personnel. So what is it and why does it really matter? And we're also going to dive a little bit further into how we developed it. We can look at specific aspects within this e-learning to give you a flavor of what this looks like, as well as practical steps for you to get started. And then we can delve further on how you could potentially scope UN 2.0 to your context as well. And we would then hand over to our DESA colleagues on UN 2.0 case study to really understand how does it happen in action. So we have the UN 2.0 DESA community, and we're also going to explore the UN DESA SDG chatbot, and then we open the floor to you for any questions you may have. So with that, we're going to start with a small activity, and we'd really like to hear from you in terms of what UN 2.0 means to you. So my colleague Cecilia will be sharing in the chat a link for you. So you would need to select this link um, and share your insights to the Mentimeter. Happy to share. All responses are anonymous. So in that sense, take a minute and share your insights. Okay, so in this sense, also if perhaps maybe the Mentimeter, the link perhaps is taking some time, you could also maybe share. I see colleagues sharing, so in that sense, I will now share a few insights that we can see. So we see efficient transparency, accountability, improvement, true inclusion, okay, and impact progress, uh, reformation, and digital. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your insights in terms of what it means to you. We're always curious to know a little bit more about that. And a reason for that is at the UNSSC, we often receive these questions. So, what is UN 2.0? Whose responsibility is it? How do I get started? And how can we make UN 2.0 real? So, as uh, a learning institution within the UN, these are questions that we receive. And why does it really matter to us? It matters to us because our mandate is focused on tailor-made learning solutions for UN personnel, and we provide this through a variety of offerings. And the second reason is that we are recognized as the center of excellence to expand upon UN 2.0 learning within Action 11 of the UN 2.0 Action Plan. So for us, it really matters to hear your voice and these queries that you often share with us. So in that sense, we how did we really address this? We developed the UN 2.0 Fundamentals e-learning path. So what is this? It's 5 introductory e-learning modules. It's designed exclusively for UN personnel. It's available on the Blue Line platform, which we will be talking a little bit more about. And it's freely available as a service to the system. We currently have around 1,689 UN personnel registered, and we're also very proud to share that we have an average recommendation rate of 95%. So within this e-learning offering, we have 5 components. You have key readings and resources made exclusively available to you. There's a workbook for you to personalize your learning. There's around 5 to 7 lessons, and we'll be delving a little bit further on what those could look like for you. We have sharing activities where you can see what or how colleagues perceive these concepts across the system. And then we finally have a simulator at the end of each module so that you can start to maybe identify what this could look like when applying or when beginning to imply some of these concepts. So how did we develop this? The idea was that we wanted to shift capacities. We didn't want to add structures. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We really wanted to build on existing insights because there's so much across the system that we could perhaps feature and showcase. So in that sense, we conducted a landscape analysis with over 15 entities. And then we focused on convening these insights by working with various UN entities, gaining these insights from experts in the field, and through instructional design, which is our forte, so to speak. And then finally, when we look further into each module, so each module is based on one cutting edge skill of the quintet of change. So the idea is that once you complete each module, you will get a badge of completion. And if you complete all 5 modules, you will get a certificate of completion. And in terms of really what to expect when it comes to the content of each of these modules, I am happy to hand over to my colleague, Cecilia, who will be delving further into some of the content that you could perhaps expect. So in that sense.
Many thanks, Lian. And hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to be in this panel discussion with colleagues from UNDESA and to talk about how does UN 2.0, how can we upskill ourselves within UN 2.0 in the system. And so starting from Lian's overview, I would like now to delve deeper into the content of the different modules of the UN 2.0 e-learning fundamentals. And for the purpose of this presentation, we would like to approach the 5 modules by starting either from a real life situation or a question so that we can make the quintet of change more tangible and also the rationale to develop learning material on the quintet of change more tangible. So when it comes to strategic foresight, imagine you are driving in a car, but you're only looking at the rear window mirror. Why did we choose this particular situation? Because this is a scene that represents why UN 2.0 speaks about foresight when it comes to strategy. So this is because recent crises demonstrate that the future will not necessarily mirror the past. So when it comes to develop foresight learning, we are focusing on cultivating structured methods so that UN colleagues are equipped with with knowledge and new path to develop strategy to look forward. So in a way, we cannot, to take back on the image of the car, we cannot solely look at the rear view mirror, but we need to look on what lies ahead, on what's the future. And so to develop this module, we aligned with the UN Strategic Foresight Guide by the UN Futures Lab. So when it comes to definition and frameworks, we aligned with theirs. And the content has been developed under 6 lessons to at first explain what strategic foresight is and why it is meaningful for the UN right now, and then describe what are the different ways of doing strategy and why we focus on foresight, and then examine case studies from across the system and analyze tools. Then moving to the next module, we would like now to ask directly to you if you would like to engage in this short interactive activity by scanning the QR code. So we would like to start by reflecting on our daily activities, which would be that imagine you have to go for lunch, and how many of you would go about it. So which kind of choices will you make to select what to have for lunch? And so I would like to actually highlight that this is not a test. There are no right or wrong answers. We are using a Mentimeter so that you can be also involved in this conversation, and it's completely anonymous. Okay, I can see that someone has already replied. Many thanks for your prompt response. And so let's take 2 approach. So imagine indeed that I acknowledge some of you are connecting from New York, and so maybe for some of you, it's time to decide what to have for lunch. How do you approach this decision? Would you gather all the available information about all the available lunch options? So would you go to the cafeteria or to the restaurant and look carefully at all the options available? Or maybe you also calculate the benefits, the costs associated with each option. So how much satisfaction will this choice bring me? How much this other choice would be ideal for me at the moment? And maybe you choose the option that maximizes your benefits and perhaps minimize the cost. How many does this approach resonates with anyone? Also, there is another approach. How many of you would go about this instead? You just opt for the same exact as what you had yesterday. Maybe you appreciate consistency, and so maybe you want to have again that rice salad that you had yesterday, or maybe you would like something that is just good enough. You don't have much time for your lunch break, so you have to go with a safe option, let's say. Or maybe you choose according to what your colleague, what your partner, what your friends suggest, so that a recommendation can ease your choice. How many of you relates to this approach instead? Okay, I can see that in the Mentimeter, many of you shared that they would go with what was good enough as probably the preferable option. And I'm pleased to share that indeed, most of us typically follow mental shortcuts. So in everyday life, people tend to make automatic choices according to what is familiar, what is faster, what is endorsed by trust peers. And so understanding these patterns and so including behavioral insights into our work can allow to design better policies, services, and systems. So this links to how UN 2.0 frame behavioral science. So behavioral science is the evidence-based study of how people behave, make decisions, respond to context, which could include then program policies, administrative processes, and incentives. So starting from this, how did we develop the module? We decided to unfold throughout the 6 lessons. So again, to define key concepts linked to behavioral science in the UN. Then we identified theoretical frameworks for, again, in the context of the UN, and explained the step-by-step process by using the UN Practitioner's Guide to getting started with behavioral science as the reference. Now moving to the next module, which would be about data. We would like again to invite you to share your insights into this statement, which is, when I hear the term data, I think of And once again, all responses are anonymous. It's not a test, it's a way for us to understand what are your insights on the quintet of change. And so, okay, statistics, AI. Oh, okay, maybe we will allow for a bit more time to reflect on this statement. And perhaps if you prefer, please be welcome to share your insight in the chat also. Planning. Okay, not human-centric. That's interesting. Questions. Okay, results interpretation, data sets, abstract. Okay, experts, planning. Regressions. Regression. Okay. Okay. I can see many valuable insights, and thank you again for engaging in this conversation. And actually, building on some keywords that you shared, here at UNSSC, we consider data primarily as a skill. We live in a hyper-connected world and this can feel both empowering but sometimes overwhelming. So at any given moment, we are flooded with statistics, dashboards, and data visualization. So the challenge in this data-rich age is that while access is faster than ever, clarity takes skills. So when we talk about being data capable, it doesn't mean knowing how to read charts. It means understanding what question to ask, what assumptions we bring, and how to use data ethically. So to support people and to support just outcomes. And so starting from these and also linking to the UN 2.0 definition and understanding of data, it's about understanding what happened, why, and what may happen. So in this module, the aim of this module is again to identify the journey to turn data into impact. And then it's about understanding what is the current role of data in the UN and analyze key trends. And as some of you shared also in the Mentimeters, artificial intelligence and big data and their importance in the world today. But I would like to highlight that these are fundamentals, e-learning fundamentals. So to then delve deeper, sometimes into different modules, there are these are going to provide you with an overview of what data within the UN 2.0 means. But let's move then maybe to the next module, digital. So the UN 2.0 policy brief highlights the needs for a digitally fluent United Nations system. But what does digitally fluent actually mean? And we would like to think about digital fluency like learning a language. So please, once again, you are welcome to scan the QR code, or again, if you prefer, you're welcome to share in the chat. We have a short, a very brief poll that starts with the question, how much of the English language do you need to know to be fluent? And the options are 30%, 50%, 70%, or 90%. Again, please do not consider this as a test. Okay, I can see that you have already submitted some answer. 70 and 90, okay. Okay, let's maybe give a couple of more minutes. Okay, I can see that as of now, 70%, okay, yeah, is the most voted option. Many thanks again for participating to the Mentimeter. Well, actually, the answer would be 30%. So how does this apply to digital fluency? And how did we got this data? So in the book called The Digital Mindset that was published by Harvard Business Review, the author suggested that we only need about 30% fluency to be effective in a particular skills. We don't need to acquire 100% mastery. So just like learning a language, you don't need to know everything to be effective. Yet you need to grasp a few key things. You need to have a solid basis. So when we tried to think about what this 30% could be in a UN context, we scoped the module to provide a baseline of understanding of essential digital concept, awareness of important documents and guidelines when it comes to digital in the UN, like the Global Digital Compact, and insights from case studies, tools, checklists from across the system. And for this process, we worked with a huge number of entities and agencies, from the EOSG to UNICEF to UNHCHR. And then we aligned specifically with UNDP's digital standard to provide a step-by-step approach. And so again, you will find here definition. You will see what are the key technologies, but the technologies, and I would like to highlight this, are not seen as something that it's like an end in itself. The technologies are a tool. What we focus on this module is about building a digital mindset, is about building digital awareness. Now let's move to the next module, which is focusing on innovation. And so we would like to know from you, by again sharing these your insights on the Mentimeter, if you believe you're creative, why and why not? And if this might sound as an unexpected question, it will become clear in just a moment. Let's just take a moment to give you the time to share your insights. Okay, this might take more time to reflect, but we would like to, okay, I can apply new technologies to my workplace. Okay, thank you for sharing. Yes, because I have challenges to overcome. Thank you. So it's creativity links on the one side on applied new technologies, doing things maybe differently, and then having challenges, having problems to solve. Not much, because I stick to proven methodologies. Okay. I'm actively working in my creative pursuits and drawn from an internal well of inspiration to inspire an open discussion on necessary topics. Many thanks. Okay. Yes, because I always put myself in the shoes of author that's able to understand an issue from multiple perspectives, which in turn allows me to connect different things, which is or leads to creativity. Many thanks for sharing this insight on creativity and why are we talking about creativity when it comes to innovation upskilling. We again, thank you for this insight that also in a way links to how innovation is defined and framed within the UN. So innovation within the UN is indeed not just about breakthrough ideas, and I'm happy that it was not also sharing the Mentimeter. It was about maybe small shift. It was about doing something new or being able to approach a problem differently. So indeed, it's not about eureka moments in this way. It's about being creative while applying structured methods. It's a skill. It's a way of doing things, of working. It's something you can do and something you can learn further. And so embracing this and the UN Secretary General definition of innovation, which is again doing things differently, doing different things, we have developed the module around 7 lessons to provide definition, to provide an overview of what are the different types of innovation, and examine the processes around innovation. So how to apply structured methods, solid methods to do things differently. And so this was an overview of these free of cost modules that are, I would like to just highlight, these are because of our mandate for UN personnel. And to develop this module, we have applied design strategy to promote learning engagement, contextual relevance, and applied practices. And we would like to maybe give you the tools to get started. So if you are perhaps interested in this learning path, kindly find here a step-by-step process. And so I'm just gonna share it also in the chat. Okay. No, I will share it later. Okay. So basically, this path is on the Blue Line platform. So I would just want to highlight a technical note. You will have to register to the path by using your email address, so that then you can have access to all the resources which are UN related. And whereas if you wish to delve further into the learning on the Quintet of Change, also I'm pleased to share that this fall we are launching 3 paid this time UN 2.0 UN System Springboard programs on behavioral science, innovation, and strategic foresight. And we will be happy to share more about this if it is of interest, perhaps at the end of the session. But for now, I would like to hand it over back to my colleague, Lian. Many thanks.
Thank you so much, Cecilia, for the insightful overview. And in that sense, we started with really giving you an overview into what our freely available e-learning is for UN personnel. Cecilia then took a slightly deeper dive into what each of the modules could have. And now we're going to look at maybe how you can begin to start scoping some of these conversations for yourself. And in that sense, we have a framework which is focused on mainstreaming UN 2.0. And we have a Padlet link that will be shared in the chat with you. And we want to know from you essentially, um, how would you look at mainstreaming UN 2.0 within 4 specific spaces? So the first is systems and tools. So what are the systems and tools that are getting in the way of mainstreaming UN 2.0 essentially? What is your team, unit, and organization need to do more or less of when it comes to mainstreaming UN 2.0 or building that culture of UN 2.0? And what does your team, unit, and organization need to change regarding processes and procedures? So how does that, are there any processes or procedures that you could perhaps use or perhaps maybe even lessen in a way? And finally, maybe what could you do starting today to make an impact? And in that sense, we can see colleagues are filling the Padlet, but we'll take a little bit of time here because I acknowledge that, there may be a little bit of thought required. So in that sense, perhaps we can just give it a minute or so. Also, you could feel free to fill it in the chat in case you have any insights there. But let's take a minute or so. Okay, so I'm seeing maybe an insight over here where what systems and tools do you need or are getting in the way of? So modern secure digital platforms and data tools are needed, and outdated system silos and lack of digital skills hinder UN 2.0 mainstreaming. Okay, very, very, very true. So I see that you've looked at maybe both sides for what's needed. and maybe what's kind of getting in the way. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, but then perhaps we leave the Padlet to be filled, um, for a bit of time, because I acknowledge that we would also like to hand over to DESA colleagues. So in that sense, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Leanne. Thank you, Cecilia. And yeah, that was wonderful. I look forward to taking those modules myself and to to sharing and collaborating more with UNSSC. That really touches on the main topic of my few minutes here. I just want to confirm everyone can see my screen okay?
We can see it in presenter view, so if you could go to display settings, it'll swap.
Great, thank you so much. How does that look right now?
I think it's still in presenter mode.
Oh, okay. How about now?
Still in presenter mode, apologies, but I think maybe what you could do is maybe pause it if you can see at the top, and then perhaps you can then swap it from presenter mode.
Okay, let's just double check. Sorry.
Perfect.
How's it looking now?
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. So yeah, really just thanks so much for having us here. I'm not going to take up too much time. Again, for anyone that joined a little late, my name's Finbar Hefferon. I work as a program management officer in UNDESA and in the strategic planning side of things. So helping to support UN 2.0 implementation across the department of over 500 employees is part of the interesting work that I get to do alongside my great colleagues. So I want to speak just for a few minutes and then pass it over to my colleague Jin Chun, who has a really exciting Gen AI initiative that DESA has been doing. But I think I want to rewind, as the slides say, and sort of better understand how we got to this point of UN 2.0 implementation in DESA. So the action plan was adopted, approved by the executive committee in September 2024. And shortly after that, DESA began its own process of contextualizing UN 2.0 in the department. So we came up with our own ambitions document, looking at all the different steps, actions, and creating a timeline for implementation of the UN 2.0 vision across the department. Now, obviously, like all UN entities, we have been implementing in spirit UN 2.0 principles long before the action plan was approved. For example, foresight in some of our analytical work. But the action plan and our own ambitions document allowed us to focus closer and also just amp up some of our efforts, and that's across a range of different areas. So definitely increasing strategic foresight in our analytical reports. We looked at recruitment. We looked at performance management measures, making sure that we highlight and emphasize things like digital literacy when we're looking at recruitment and our own performance management measures. We looked at enhancing different technological networks, so collaborating deeper with the private sector, with academia, for the purpose of creating more impact. And we look to deepen partnerships across the board to get better results. And that includes with UNSSC, the United Nations Economist Network. And then also what I want to talk about today more is increasing our internal collaboration to improve UN 2.0 implementation within our department. So I'll just switch the slide here. Second. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to talk about a very simple initiative that we've been implementing since January, but a pretty effective starting point, I think, for implementing UN 2.0 across DESA. So we established a UN 2.0 community in DESA, and it comprises a basic set of activities, communication channels, and a set of workshops that allows us to nurture focus on UN 2.0 implementation, all the different quintet of change components. Because it's peer-led, we have an opportunity for our colleagues to share best practices and just share more in general on what they're doing. I mean, this has been part of the fun in the early months of this, is just understanding all of the interesting work that's already underway in DESA. So we have a Teams channel that helps everyone share updates, obviously share events such as this one or any other UN 2.0 related event. So we have a Teams channel that's comprised of a set of focal points and other DESA staff that would like to be interested in these topics. We've also got a SharePoint site that's packed with lots of resources for staff if they want to get involved with training that people found, whether it's inside or outside the UN, or different resources that might support UN 2.0 implementation. Obviously, DESA colleagues are involved in all sorts of very interesting work that varies across the department. So having this focal point of this SharePoint and this Teams channel has been helpful just in the early stages. And then the third component, as I said, was a workshop series. So we started the DESA UN 2.0 community workshop series. We had our first workshop in February. We've had 3 so far, so about every couple months. And they've been really well received by staff. There's obviously a lot of interest in specific topics related to technology and innovation. We had a very well-attended workshop on Gen AI initiatives underway in DESA. So this was a really good opportunity, I think, for example, our statistics division, our division for public institutions and digital government, as well as in OUSG, our own chatbot, which Jinchun will speak about soon. So we were able to present the work that's already been going on in the department and allow colleagues to ask more questions, to share their insights, to share new initiatives that we hadn't even talked about. And it really sparked something that I think has already been there when staff are talking amongst themselves in the lunchroom or in their meetings. So it was a really great opportunity for that. And we've also had a workshop recently on cybersecurity recommendations and threats. So that was actually a very timely update that OICT was able to provide the network, the community with some updates on cybersecurity. So yeah, in terms of impact, we've had 3 workshops. We've had over 150 staff attend. It's led in real time to new connections. So we do try to foster this. We try to support new opportunities for colleagues to get together and have this space. At the different workshops, colleagues are exchanging emails and ideas. We can see in real time that they're meeting afterwards to talk about a specific focus. So it's it serves that very central coordination role, I think, for a lot of colleagues, which is really helpful. Yeah, and so that's really what I wanted to say today about it. Obviously, it's in its infancy. We did send around a survey, which was really helpful at the early stages to all of DESA staff, asking, what are the gaps? What are the areas of UN 2.0 vision that you would like to see focused on? What type of workshops would you like? What type of resources are you missing? So, not only I think is it giving that opportunity for staff to have that central collaboration platform, but it's also helpful for us in the Office of the Undersecretary General to understand from a bit of a bird's eye view of where are the gaps. And, we will continue the workshop series. We'll continue to look throughout the year at, what type of potentially capacity building opportunities, maybe new software training, if possible, or, really respond to the staff and what they are looking for in terms of helping support their work. And ultimately, this initiative, UN 2.0, just across the whole UN, the intention is to improve our work, to get better results and achieve more, which can allow us to support the member states better. And, this in turn can lead to improved results across the board, including from a DESA-centric point of view, the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. So I hope that's helpful. I'm very happy to talk to anyone who's on the call right now, or anyone who follows up later from the recording to discuss sort of the basics of how we got started, if they're thinking of doing something similar within their own division or department. But for now, I think I'll just pass it over to my colleague Jinchun to talk about one of the innovative things that DESA's involved in currently, the SDG chatbot. Take it away, Jinchun.
Thank you, Fumba, for the great overview of the UN DESA 2.0 action plan and the UN 2.0 community within DESA. So before I start, let me share my screen. I want to make sure everybody can see my presentation. Can you see it?
We can see it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oops, sorry. Let me go back to the beginning of the presentation. So building on Fimba's previous speech, I'd like to share with you one of our initiatives that actually reflects the spirit of the UN 2.0 in action, our SDG chatbot project. This project is actually a concrete example of DESA, how DESA is leveraging emerging technologies, particularly generative AI technology, to make UN knowledge on sustainable development more accessible, interactive, and user-friendly for a broad range of stakeholders. Over the next few minutes, I will walk you through the business needs, impact, target audience, data sources, user acceptance tests of the SDG chatbot project. And at the end of the presentation, I will also share a QR code so you can scan and play around with the prototype. So DESA, as the UN Secretariat for SDGs, produces a wide range of products focused on SDGs, including publications, reports, policy briefs, working papers, databases, capacity building projects, etc. These products currently are disseminated across various channels, such as the departmental's website, divisional website, online databases, and social medias, etc. Currently, there's no user-friendly interface for user to easily access specific information from the wide range of DESA's work on SDGs. Therefore, it hinders stakeholders' ability to access the information they need quickly and efficiently, leading to frustration and potentially reduced engagement within UN DESA's work. For example, DESA's staff member or even senior leaders are often facing the questions from Fifth Committee, ACPQ, what is DESA doing? Actually, to answer those questions, we actually produce so many, products. We have so much information on SDGs, but however, stakeholders might have difficulties, finding those informations easily. To address those pinpoints, DESA aims to develop an SDG chatbot in collaboration with OICT and Accenture. The chatbot, based on the generative AI technology, will provide users with a user-friendly interface to easily access information on SDG-related issues, questions, etc. This will improve the user experience and enhance DESA's ability to promote its work and engage stakeholders. Ultimately, the goal is to leverage cutting-edge generative AI technology to engage more stakeholders and accelerate the implementation of the SDG before the 2030 deadlines. We are already in 2025, right? So we only have 5 years left. So in order to achieve the SDG goals in 2030, we have to engage to bring more awareness of the public, to engage more partnership stakeholders, including partnership with private sectors, etc. So we can, to accelerate the implementation of the SDGs, so we can achieve our goals in 2030. So this slide is actually an overview of the SDG 10 initiatives. It explains why we're here and, our current pinpoints, and also why it matters and our objectives. So actually, I already explained a little bit more in the previous slide. So we actually anticipate our target audience would be, the main audience would be different member states and their representatives, and also academia and researchers, and NGOs and civil society, and then international organizations, private sector, general public, media and journalists, policymakers and practitioners. And also we have, anticipate also users' motivation, why they need to use a chatbot. And also we actually come up with several use cases, what user can get from the chatbot. For example, they can use the chatbot to summarize the recent DESA publications. Usually those publications kind of lengthy, like some of them are more than 100 pages. So the user can use the, chatbot to generate, a brief summary of the recent publications. And also the audience can use the, use chatbot, can also get the most up-to-date information on the upcoming SDG-related conferences, and also policy guidelines for SDG implementation at the national level, etc. For the data source of the SDG chatbot, we actually have all those data sources from our departmental level website. We have 2 departmental websites, DESA publications website, and also DESA departmental website. And also we have data source from the 10 divisional websites. Those information are all public information. So we actually developed the SDG chatbot in phases. So in first phase, we actually only ingest the data from data publications website from January 2019 to June 2024. And also DESA departmental's website, mainly focused on English. And also DESA departmental website calendar events page. In the second phase, we actually incorporate more data. We actually ingest all the data from DESA publication website from July 2024 to December 2024, and also especially incorporate some important publications, SDG progress report, and also DESA event calendar from July 2025 to December 2025. And also we incorporate a few more divisional websites, such as ECOSOC website, and also HLPF website, especially focused on the VNR reports. And also we incorporate data from DESA Certifications website. Regarding the user acceptance test, in the first phase, we only open the user acceptance test to staff members at SPCS. We have around 14 people participate in the user acceptance test. The feedback was actually quite positive. And then in the second phase, we actually open the user acceptance test to divisional UN 2.0 focal points, divisional departmental, divisional ICT and web focal points, So we have around total open user test to around 60 people. So we are in third phase now. So in the third phase, we plan to open the user acceptance test to staff members within DESA. We have around 500 people. Hopefully, most of staff member will participate in the also open user acceptance test. So this is the slides we actually produced for the UN AI Day on April 22nd. It has the QR code for the URL for the prototype we're developing. So feel free to scan it and then play around with it. I will also put the URL in the chat box as well. So we love to hear your feedback. Okay, so this concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Any
very
questions? I
much.
would love to answer any questions. Yeah.
No, of course. I believe that now perhaps we can quickly go to the question and answer segment. And if you can see, feel free to share within the Mentimeter any questions you may have. If you would like to share anonymous questions, alternatively, please feel free to share it in the chat. And in that sense, I've actually noted that there is already a question within the Mentimeter. And so how can we ensure Black people and those coming from the global South, especially in Western nations, are centered in digital safety, design, governance, and evaluation to address their shared risks? In that sense, happy to share that UNSSC's focus is, of course, primarily learning. So our mandate is to really highlight the amazing work that's being done by colleagues across the system. So in that sense, happy to share that we did feature UNDP's work, which is focused on their digital standards. And we've also worked with colleagues from UNFPA to showcase some of the really impactful work that they're doing. And if you click on these links, they would help you delve further into some of these digital standards, which look at, if we want to get started with digital projects of our own, how can we do so in a step-by-step process? And if you can see in those standards, they even refer to leaving no one behind, doing no harm, and how you can really make that tangible. So, of course, our mandate is learning, but we have featured um, some of the work by colleagues from across the system focused on these standards, which could very much align with your question. And in that sense, I also see in the chat, Cecilia has shared a few tools. So I did notice a few elements popped up within the Padlet as well. So if we can see over here, a colleague has shared, what is your team, unit, or organization need to do more or less of in terms of mainstreaming UN 2.0? And they've raised a very important point, which is, given reduced funding, more could be done to embed digital solutions across all activities with, experiment with new tools, scale proven digital innovations, especially those that improve efficiency. And then, exploring blockchain frameworks that are mostly or truly decentralized. So in this sense, happy to share that there are also freely available tools for you to refer to when it comes to obtaining new ideas, when it comes to scaling. So feel free to refer to some of the links that Cecilia has shared in the chat for you. And also, if DESA colleagues, if you would like to take the previous question, also please feel free to. I just thought to perhaps showcase some of the work that we have featured by colleagues across the system.
Yeah, just Leanne, just to add quickly, yeah, on the point of the challenges of reduced funding and making sure that implementation continues as it needs to. Yeah, we've recognized that in our own context in DESA, and we've tried very hard to look at, as I mentioned, what expertise is already existing, what initiatives are existing a little bit under the surface, perhaps, and what expertise do we already have in our own building or within our own networks that is cost effective and acknowledges the realities that we would like to, but we perhaps can't have the capacity building opportunities that we might have if there was not a funding crisis. So it's part of the planning and the strategic side of our community as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
if I may add up to answer this question. So everybody is aware of the liquidity crisis the whole UN is facing. At DESA, we actually for ICT chatbot project, we actually it's trying to explore the partnership. As I said in my presentation, this project is actually a joint project among between DESA, OICT, and Accentro. So because OICT has a pro bono services a contract with Accentro, so that's why we actually explore this partnership opportunity, and then to work with them to actually develop the prototype. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing these examples from your end as well, addressing perhaps a very critical challenge at the time. I mean, happening right now. And in that sense, yeah, I see Donna's reacted to the same. So thank you so much, Donna. And we have around 3 minutes. So if someone else would like to perhaps share a question in the Mentimeter or in the chat, feel free to do so. Alternatively, feel free to check out the freely available resources in case you may find them useful. There's also the DESA chatbot, which has been shared in case that could be of interest. Yes, and also feel free to reach out to colleagues as well, exchange insights for any questions. Thank you so much for sharing that, Finmar. Okay, in that sense, I see we have no additional queries. And with that, I would really like to thank our DESA colleagues for their insights and their time, and to you as well for your insights and your contributions to this session. It was wonderful to have everyone here, and thank you so much again for tuning into this session.
Thank you, Leanne. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Leanne.